All right, you guys, we're back for another Men of Impact show with Dr. Brad. And again, I am your host, Dr. Brad, and I'm a faith-based purpose clarity coach for men. I help high-achieving men gain clarity on their purpose so they can successfully pivot and pursue their calling despite having a full-time career. And if you're here for the first time, we do this every single Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Men of Impact show. And this is the place where high achieving men come to discover their purpose, pursue their calling, and impact the world. And this show is a combination of both faith-based and entrepreneurial principles, all designed to be able to help that high achieving man who feels like there is something of greater impact and calling out there for them, and provide them the clarity, confidence, and strategies needed in order to go from stuck in their current career to successfully pursuing significance within their calling. If you are on today, make sure that you like this show and also make sure that you share this show. You'll be able to find this show on both my personal Facebook page as well as my Facebook business page. And today, for the first time, you'll also be able to find this live on my YouTube channel. I'm trying to just get better every single week as I do this thing and provide you guys a bunch of value. So this is a interactive show. So make sure you engage with me as we discuss topics that are going to help you get that clarity and get the strategies that you need to be able to move toward what is your calling. And so before I bring on another phenomenal guest, another man of impact, I want to talk real quick about something that I was thinking about this week. You know, I personally feel like most men, just about every man, and if you're listening to this, I want you to, I think all of us have this desire to go after something that is of great significance, something that is of great impact, that is rewarding and meaningful and positively transforming the lives of other people. I firmly believe that. I think that's just part of who we are as men, particularly as men of faith. We have this desire to do something of great impact. But there's so many things that stopping us, and one of those things is clarity. We lack the clarity. I can remember myself just making excuses all the time, even though I was a successful physician, seeing athletes at the highest level in what I do in my profession. I started coming to this understanding, and this is what I want you guys to know today, is that there's a difference between your career and your calling. See, your career is where you get paid, but your calling is why you were made. And I wish I was smart enough that I actually came up with that phrase. I didn't. I borrowed it from my pastor. So thank you, Pastor Conway, for blessing us with that one week. And I just straight up stole that from you. But it is reality. See, we are not just made to work. I'm going to say that again. We are not just made to go to work. Now, here's the deal. We can work, and we are built to be able to work and use our minds and use our hands to be able to do and create. But that is not all we were called for. Our calling is something of service. Our calling is something of contribution. And you will always have this itch, this something that's going to be nagging you as long as there is only career, but no calling. You have to be able to answer that call. I want you to think about, I can remember being younger and we had the, phones on the wall that with the cord and everything, the loud phones. Now we can put our phones on silent, you know what I'm saying? So we can't hear it. But like, imagine a phone call just calling and calling and calling and calling and calling, and you don't pick up that phone. You are constantly going to be like, dude, what is going on? What I'm telling you to do today is it's time to answer the call. That's what this show is about. It's so that we stop making excuses. And listen, I wish I could tell you I was perfect and that I answered the call as soon as it happened. But see, my goal is to be able to shorten your time frame of answering the call and start living that life of significance, fulfillment, and impact that you have been called to do by God. All right. So it's my boy Marvin. What's going on, Marvin? Dude, listen, let me just tell you, man, Marvin is one of the coolest brothers I know. This dude here is just cooler than a fan. Thanks for hopping on, Marvin. And Marvin said, I couldn't agree more. Your calling is something that will continue to bother you until you answer it. All right. And so if you are looking for more clarity in your purpose, if you're looking for more clarity so that you can save yourself the time, money, and wasted energy from going into the wrong thing. Now, see, I'm going to ask this question. I know ain't nobody just going to be rushing to answer, but how many people knew you made a decision on something that was completely out of line for you, didn't fit you, and wasn't in line with your purpose, and you had zero success in it, wasted time, money, and energy right here? Okay, so what I'm saying is if you want more clarity in your purpose, save yourself time, money, and energy, then I've got a free gift for you like I do every single week. Go here, download your free purpose clarity guide. I like to call this your free purpose clarity prescription. Dr. Brad giving you the faith-based clarity prescription on your purpose today. Go to drbradmd.com/pivot plan. And there is my free gift to you to try to help you pursue that calling. All right, you guys. Now, without further ado, listen, I'm going to bring on somebody today who me and this gentleman have become recent friends. You know, one of the things that you will start to realize is as you start to pursue your calling, you start to get in action. And to me, action just makes things happen. Action just creates things. I started getting in action, and I met this phenomenal person today, this man of impact. And just so you guys understand, what I define as a man of impact is somebody, man of faith, who has clarity in their purpose. They know what they're going after, and they're doing it at a high level, impacting the lives of other people around them. That's exactly what Fredrick Bussey is all about. He is a national speaker. He is a published author, and he's got a phenomenal story of being very successful in the music industry and also building a marketing company. And he did this for more than 20 years. And was very successful in that space. But much like, you know, what I went through and a lot of the guys who, if you're watching, have gone through, he just felt like there was something else out there for him. And I don't want to say he stumbled upon it, but, you know, he started realizing there were gifts that he was doing that was blessing people around him. And then oftentimes that's kind of how it starts. Now he is a very successful entrepreneur coach and executive coach. And so for those of you who are kind of looking for coaches, or you're just trying to figure out how this entrepreneur thing works, I like to bring you people who can not only talk about their journey of going from career to calling, but also give you some nuggets along the way. And so I want you to pull your pen and pad out today because this dude is phenomenal, man. Love his spirit, just an awesome guy. I was able to bless some of the people on his lunch call just a few weeks ago. So without further ado, I'm gonna bring on my man, Mr. Fredrick Bussey. What's going on, brother?
Dr. Brad, what's going on with you, brother?
Man, I'm excited to have you on. You and I have been talking about this for a few weeks. Man, you and I have been knowing each other probably for no more than maybe 4 to 6 weeks. But
right.
But there's something about, and I think everybody's experienced this, whenever somebody just fits, the energy works. Oftentimes finishing the other person's sentences. And so, you know, we did a call on your show a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
And I think people got, you know, great value from that. And I really want people to kind of pick your brain today about some entrepreneur stuff. But before we do that, I want people to know what you do. So kind of give us a little bit of a understanding of what you do now, and then we'll take people along the journey.
Absolutely. Well, in short, I help entrepreneurs, 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs, to realize the untapped potential in their lives, to create the lives and the businesses that they want and deserve, to create the impact in the world that they were created to make. So that's it in a nutshell. I am a business coach, executive leadership coach. I help people to create the clarity around their situations so they can overcome the hurdles or obstacles that are in their way, that keep them from pursuing and achieving the things they want to achieve in their lives. That's it in a nutshell, you know.
It sounds like you help people get past themselves.
In essence, that's exactly what I do. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I know a little bit about what you do now. We're going to get a little bit more into it because ultimately, I think when people are talking about pursuing their calling, there's an entrepreneurial spirit of that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there's anything wrong. I mean, I think there are great careers and jobs out there, and they definitely serve great roles. And I'm happy for what I do as a physician, but I couldn't find what I want to do that's going to be impactful in that calling in another career. But I want to talk about this isn't what you always have done. Take us through what you did before, the success you had in that, and then how did what you do now come to be?
All right, so I'll give you the short, long version.
Okay.
I started out probably when I was about 16 years old, singing in a group with a bunch of friends of mine, guys I grew up with. And that led to me, I was the one that did a majority of the songwriting. You know, we all wrote in the group, but I was the kind of the lyrics guy. And that led to a love and passion for writing songs. And so in that journey, I gradually over the years became a songwriter and a vocal producer. And so I was working and helping other artists to fulfill their dreams. You know, after the group thing kind of didn't work out, I transitioned just being a songwriter and part of a team. Eventually we moved to Atlanta and we were working with different artists, getting people deals and things like that. And eventually what happened was I discovered a young lady who was a phenomenal artist. We thought she was extremely talented, very bright ceiling. And I transitioned from just being on the writing side, the production side, to being more in the business and managing it. And so from there, I started being on that business side. Management moved to being a publicist and PR and marketing and branding and things of that nature. I became a partner in a PR firm. And so I was there for several years and I eventually left that PR firm to start my own agency.
But before you get into that, and I already warned Fredrick, I said, dude, I'm the worst at interrupting you, but there's something I wanted to kind of get and understand.
Sure.
When you started working on that business side, you did more music, and then you started working more on the business side. I'm guessing you had to learn some new skills around that time. Like there were some new things that you had to pick up that you probably didn't know before in order to be successful in that business side.
That's true. I'm gonna tell you what's interesting is that when I was on the creative side, I was using my business skills on that side. So when I was in the group, I was the idea guy. I was the one that was always making sure that we had enough mics to sing, that, you know, that the CDs was queued up and ready to go. I was the one that was making sure that all the details and logistics were handled. Because, you know, if you don't know anything about creatives, you know that a lot of times those things are the things that fall through the cracks.
They just want to create all day, which
right.
Yeah, they just want to sing. They want to do their part. They don't really want to deal with the logistical stuff, which obviously is important if you're running a business.
Absolutely, and there's value to that, right? Everybody has to play to their strengths, and so although I have that creative side to me as far as writing and producing and things of that nature, there were other parts of the business, if you will, that came more naturally to me, and so. One of the things as well, when I transitioned from being in the group to being more of a writer and vocal producer, I still was using my talents. I did a lot of coaching, even in the vocal booth right then.
And you didn't even realize that that's what you were doing at the time.
I had no idea.
But you were providing value by being a guide, in essence, for people.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was helping them even then to be able to tap into their potential.
Wow.
Because artists can get in their own way. You know, they get in their own heads. They're thinking about or obsessed about other things, or they're also the repositories for all these emotional things that they're going through. The best artists tend to have a lot of drama outside of the booth, right?
Yeah.
So I was helping them to navigate that journey and to be able to show up as their best self in the place where they were meant to.
Wow.
And so when it came time to transition to being more of a manager, there's a lot of that artist whispering that kind of goes on. You got to
Nice.
calm their nerves. You got to be able to help them, convince them sometimes why making a certain move is the best thing, or not making a certain move is a better move for their career. So that transition part for me actually kind of felt natural. There were, of course, other skills I had to learn, but once I
Right.
realized what my core gift was, and the talents that I had around that, I was able to kind of harness the skills that I needed in a more effective way.
You mentioned your core gifts. What tell us about that? What do you define as your gift, and then what are your gifts? Because I mean, you alluded to some of it, but I want guys to get clear on this.
So I wrote a book about this called Breaking Orbit, Rip Out of
Hmm.
the Regular by Unearthing the Power Within. And even I still get tripped up saying gifts instead of gift. The core idea of the book is that every one of us is created with a powerful gift. It is our divine identity, if you will.
Mm,
And so what we do is we confuse gifts with talents and skills. And what do I
mm.
mean by that? Well, for one thing, the Webster's Dictionary defines a skill as it, I'm drawing a blank. It defines it as something that you can learn, right?
Gotcha.
So it's something that you acquire, and it's your ability to do something, but you have to acquire that thing. But if you can acquire it, then it can't be a gift, right? Because a gift is something that's given to you.
Mm.
We also define talents. We look at someone and say, well, he's talented or he's gifted, and we conflate the two things.
Hmm.
But the truth of the matter is that a talent is more like a happy accident. It is the aptitude to be good at a certain skill. For instance, LeBron James, he's 6'9", 260. He can run like a deer. He can jump, out of the gym. So the likelihood that he's going to be good at basketball is very, very good. He
Yes.
has talent for it. But your gift is your divine identity. It's your capacity to create a certain impact in the world. And that is your divine identity. Is given to you before you even born. It's assigned to you at birth. And so what happens is that when we conflate the two things, we often confuse what we do with who we are.
Ooh.
And so people spend a lot of time searching for the thing that they should do for the rest of their lives, instead of understanding who they are and how they're meant to show up every single day and the impact that they're designed to create in the world. And so just like everybody else, I was on that same journey. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I was identifying myself by this label: producer, songwriter, manager,
You were identifying yourself with the talents that you had, and the title that is given to someone who uses those talents, instead of, man, I love the way you said it. Basically, find self, live true to self, and by means of that, your purpose and calling will create its path.
Absolutely. One of the most heartbreaking things that I've come to realize is that how many people go through life with the disadvantage of never knowing who they really are.
Oh man.
So we discover things that we're good at. We discover things that maybe we like. But there are so many people who are simply dead inside and just are basically being kept alive by the routine of the rat race.
Mm,
So you wake up, you go to a job that you hate or you marginally like, or maybe you do like, but
right.
it's still, you're not passionate about it. And how many people have hobbies that things they're more passionate about than their work, their job,
Dude, I mean, yes. I mean, that's just real. And this is part of what I was talking about before we came on. I mean, it's just like there's a difference between career and calling, man. I mean, and we are not just meant to work.
That's right.
Some of us wrestle with that so much that I think some of us will eventually we'll get so frustrated at not addressing the issue that we'll just keep going to work to ignore the call. Again, like I was saying, or for those of us who are courageous enough, which hopefully by providing people with examples of men such as yourself who were courageous enough to answer the call, that we'll go through the trouble of trying to figure it out because it's bothering us so much,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's extremely painful. A lot of us, you see so many men, especially who are medicating that hurt with more achievement, gaining more, buying more things, attracting more women, dating more women, sleeping with more women. Maybe even it's even having more children, spreading that around.
Yep.
Pornography, alcohol, drugs, whatever it takes to
Preach.
deaden that sense of emptiness, that aching sense of emptiness that's inside of us, because we're all called to do something amazing in this life. But we're taught by society, we're programmed in such a way that we believe that we have to adhere to the mean, to the middle, to be mediocre, to fit in.
Yes.
Even though we have a desire to stand out. And in a way, we all want to be the man.
Yeah.
But it's a perverted idea of the idea that what we should be is divine and infinite in our capacity to impact the world. There is no limit to what you're capable of doing. But because we're taught that there's this box that everybody has to fit inside. And imagine, if you're a child and you go running into your parents' room, maybe you find a trunk or something that you can hide in when you're playing hide and go seek. But if you're a grown man and you get stuffed into that box, imagine the hurt and ache that you're going to feel trying to get your limbs and organs all inside there and stay stuck. Yeah. And really what you're doing is you're doing exactly what that child was doing. You're hiding. And we don't know how to even find ourselves inside that box. We've been in it for so long, it just feels like that's who we are. And so we got to learn to tap out into that, to break out of it.
Man, I think that's a phenomenal visual description, because it's exactly what I say. I think we're stuck. I can remember being stuck. You bring up a great point, man, about finding yourself. I'll be honest and transparent. Before, this show and what I do right now is years of trying to convince myself of myself. Right. So I would be afraid to share my faith because of what someone would think, but it was truly me. And eventually I came to this conclusion, like, I can't not share with people what the transformation was in me, because it's leaving a portion of the recipe out. As I started to realize what my recipe was that made me, I've basically been slowly giving people the full recipe of me as I've truly identified who I am. I always tell people this. I always thought me sharing my faith looked like Pat Robinson on 700 Club. I think you and I may have talked about this. Like, that's because I thought that's how I was going to look. But I remember thinking, man, there's something, I didn't know there was this way of authenticity of just being able to be brothers like me and you, just being able to talk, successful, share faith is just part of it. No big deal. And it took me a while to understand that. It took me a while to understand, dude, a doctor is what I do, but it is not who I am. And you hit on something just phenomenal. I didn't know we was going to go here, but I'm glad we did, was that identity is the beginning. Yes. Identity is truly the beginning. And I think people are lost because they don't know what that is. And they rooted it in something that if it ever gets taken away or if something changes, identity crisis and destruction.
It happens because our idea of what identity is, again, so we use a number of different words to talk about the same idea. And because we use different words, it gets muddled. We talk about purpose and gift and talent and calling and mission. We mix up all of these different words. And what happens is we forget that it all starts with identity. If you don't know who you are, and then you don't know why you're here, right? So I liken it to talking about a drill, something as simple as that. A drill is designed to make a hole for a specific purpose. Now, a sledgehammer is also designed to make a hole, but the purpose is completely different. The difference is based on their design. You can use a drill to make a hole. You can use a drill like a sledgehammer. You're likely to do more damage to the drill than to the wall. What happens is we have people that are designed to be drills walking around this earth like they're sledgehammers. And we have people like designed as sledgehammers that are walking around like they're drills.
And well, first of all, you blowing me away right now with these analogies, because that's exactly right. And they're saying, you know what, I'm a sledgehammer simply because society says either I was supposed to be a sledgehammer or my parents said being a sledgehammer was going to be the best thing that you could possibly be.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when we allow other people, think about it this way: we allow other people to define us, but we don't find our definition and our identity in our manufacturer, right? So it would be as if you were a BMW, but you were being defined by Toyota.
Mm.
And so the manufacturer knows the ins and outs. He knows why he designed us the way that he did. And we were designed to create a certain impact in the world. But if you're not aware and understanding of how to master your design, you can't show up that way. And
Right.
most of us don't.
Well, and then, to kind of take it a step further, I feel like for those of us who have been successful in whatever it is that we do, it's even tougher for us because here's what I hear is like, okay, you know, I'm really a Bentley coupe,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm defining myself as the highest level Toyota there is,
Yeah.
which tends to be good, which is
Mm-hmm.
a good car, and it's
Right.
great and better than most. So we
Right.
say, you know what, since I'm better than most, I'm pretty high functioning, I'm pretty high
Mm-hmm.
performing, I've done
Mm-hmm.
pretty well for myself,
Mm-hmm.
and not realizing that the one within is really the Bentley coupe.
Right. Right. You're still living beneath your privilege, living beneath your calling.
That's right.
It's as if you were a Ferrari in a cornfield, acting like a tractor, right?
Yes. Yes.
So you're spinning your wheels, you're getting dirty, but you're not able to perform at the highest level. And just like if you put a tractor, again with the analogy, on the racetrack, right?
Yes.
It's gonna putter around that thing, but it's not designed to do that. When you
Right.
put what you were designed to do in the proper context to create the proper impact, you can do what you were meant to do.
Right.
You know.
And the beauty behind that is I think some people don't understand, some guys,
Mhm.
including myself, what I didn't understand and still coming to the understanding of is that I think some guys might be saying, I'm afraid if I truly answer my call, I might be the tractor. But what
Mhm.
they don't understand is that they operate and will optimize everything with that tractor. Guess good. What? We don't get corn, we don't get fed, we don't get think about what the
Yeah.
tractor is able to do and the massive impact that
Right.
it could do as a tractor. And
Right.
we think that
Right.
because we're not a Ferrari like the other person, that
Mhm.
we've lost value in who we are as a tractor.
Yeah.
Once we realize that we are what we are, no matter what we are, and we accept it, like you said, accept the manufacturer's work.
Right.
He knows what he's doing. Accept God's work, man. You got Fredrick, man. You didn't open up a can of worms. No, but I mean, I'm serious. It's like that was my fear. I was like, you know
Yeah.
what? If I answered this thought of maybe wanting to be a speaker or something like that, dude, that's not the end of what I saw. First of all, I'm like, how am I gonna get there being this? And I never really said, you know what? What if taking this path going down the tractor I'm fearful of accepting
Mhm.
is actually the path that is going to take to fulfill the dreams that I see that are so far away.
You mentioned a key word there, fulfill. What happens is that we believe that the title, the job, the window trapping that goes along with that, the window dressing that goes along with those things is what defines us, right? So like you said, you're afraid that being a tractor is going to put you beneath or invalidate you as a person. People are going to look down on you. Even for myself, right? I fought being called a coach for a long time
We talked about this, right?
because there's a ton of life coaches out there and people are doing it, and so it's come to be in some people's minds almost a joke, and most people don't understand it, so they don't value it in that way.
Sure. Yeah.
But what I had to realize was that one, I had been doing it for most of my life anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed pouring into other people and just sharing with them the insight that I had been blessed to receive through reading a book, through experience, through talking to other people who were wiser, mentors, and things of that nature, to be able to shine that light on them. And so, I started taking this title of myself. I call myself a luminary. And it simply means a luminary, it sounds like really lofty and out there, but it just means one who brings light.
Yes.
And in that way, I believe that that's my purpose, is to help illuminate light. But what I called it, or what I was willing to call it, was in the way, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
couldn't step into it because I was afraid of the title and what that meant.
Oh
And
man.
Once I
Man,
was able to do that, then I was able to see that I could create transformational experiences for people, right? I was
man,
able to help people in their own lives. And what it did for me was it transformed my life.
yes,
And I realized that what I had been doing the whole time was that because I was afraid of putting a label on this thing, I was not only robbing other people of their potential and what they could do with their life, but I was robbing myself and my family.
man. Because at the end of the day, it's not about us. It's not
No,
about you. You
right.
know, the I mean, everything you're talking about is exactly what it was. I remember my first coach that I had as I was trying to get clarity on, what the heck I wanted to do and, my purpose and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
I remember he was like, man, you're a coach. He's like, and I remember resisting that so much because I was like, I'm not a coach, bro. Don't call me a coach. And it wasn't until I accepted it.
Mm-hmm.
And what was amazing was the help and clarity that I got from him,
Mm-hmm.
right? That I was like, wow, yeah, I want to have this same ability to transform others
Right.
In a different space. He was business. I'm more of really getting full clarity on what we're going to dive into, what we're going to go into.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember, man, one of the clients I was working with, very successful insurance agent and owned his own insurance company. But as we talked, man, it was clear that this guy's gift was food, was cooking, was like, and it was so left field from, but he could not stop talking about it. And he said this, and this is when I was like, oh my gosh, you got to do something with this, man. I mean, he said, I love people through food. And I said, bro, I know you don't want to hear it. Okay. But we got to start finding some clarity and doing something to this. Now, this guy is so much more free right now with actually starting his own like spice company. So he tossed around a couple of ideas, but now he's really started his own like spice company, and like he's able to love people in the masses with that. A long story, all that to say this: we resist exactly what you said. We resist ourselves.
Yes.
We resist ourselves by the success that we've already had, the money that we're getting or want to have, and can't stop to think. How many guys have you talked to that say, well, I don't know if I want to do that. Ain't no money in that.
Yep.
Ain't no money in that. And it's all excuses, all excuses to accept identity, to accept you.
Yeah.
What I tell people is this.
Yes.
What you think makes money or not has nothing to do with whether you think it makes money. It has to do just how good you are and the value you have. And here's what I know. If you have gifts in it, guess what? God has already equipped you to be successful and create tremendous value with it. Like you said, he gifted you with it. You didn't have to go try and look for that stuff. Now it's up to you to get better at it and practice it and stuff like that. But I've heard that too many times. Have you heard that before? Ain't gonna be no money. I don't want to do it. Or I don't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, because again, we're taught as men that we're supposed to be the providers, that we're warriors. We're gonna go out there and win, and it's competitive. And so we're comparing ourselves to other people. Our parents are comparing us to other kids.
Yep.
And so there's all this energy that goes into what are you doing? I mean, it's the first question that every man is asked. So what do you do?
Yes.
And then we smack the label on them based on what they do. Oh, you're a doctor. Oh, okay. You're a doctor. Or you're
right.
If you come out and say, well, I'm a chef. Okay. And there is, you said something that was so powerful. You told him that he said, I love people through food.
Yes.
And we don't often talk about this as men, but we talk about ourselves as warriors, as providers, as protectors. But those are the ways that we love those around us. The way that that's the way that we have the conduit through love. There's no greater feeling than being protected when your father or your brother or is with you to protect you, to provide for you. That is how we love our family and those who are under our care, under our charge. In concert with that, our gift is how God loves the world. He loves the world through our gift. And when we deny that, what we're doing is we're saying what's more important is that I feel good about who other people think I am, and not be aware that God is calling me to walk in this gift that he created inside me.
Bro, when I realized that I had to really take action and do something, when I started understanding, particularly when you start talking about the body of Christ, and we all have different gifts, and really I look at it like a big puzzle. And when I started realizing some of the stuff you're talking about now, realize my identity, he gave me gifts to do something very unique to provide value and change for other people with those gifts.
Yeah.
I started thinking, what's the picture going to look like if I don't do what I'm supposed to do? There's going to be holes in the puzzle, bro. And people won't be able to see the picture, the big picture of the puzzle.
Yes.
Let me charge every brother who's listening to this. Let me tell you something. The farther you push out answering the call, the farther you push out, like my boy here, Fredrick Bussey said, is really start looking within and understanding who you are and what you're supposed to be providing to other people. The more you are robbing the people you're supposed to bless of your gift.
Yes.
And the reality is once you start realizing that, yes, you accepting who you are and then delivering it to other people is a sign of love to other people. And you are robbing other people. It's not about you. For you to sit in this box and when I say box, figuratively speaking, of being the doctor, the lawyer, the accountant, the consultant, the whatever, and not going after what God has called you to do, not what you feel is good or what you think is a good business plan because just because you don't feel good doing what you do. No, it's not about just, I just don't want to do this job no more. There's got to be a higher calling. And until you answer that, man, you are doing the people that you're supposed to bless a massive disservice because they are waiting.
A great illustration to piggyback on what you're saying would be Jonah, right? Jonah had a calling. He was supposed to go in one direction, and he fought that thing.
Yes.
It took him miles deep under the ocean in the belly of a whale before he was able to surrender and say, okay, I'm going to give in. And even then, he went where he was supposed to go, but he did it grudgingly. But when we step into our gift, it's a matter of trust, really, right?
Yes, yeah.
And it's amazing. We don't trust the one that created us to know why we were created.
Bro, ain't this crazy? I mean, isn't this crazy? I think you and I can talk very candid about it because I think we've both been there.
Oh, man, yeah.
Bro, I'm sitting here thinking and justifying not going after my call and saying this. Well, then why did he have me be a doctor? And the whole time, here's what's crazy. I've got much more clarity now and I understand. I used to think that I made the wrong decision. But see, this wasn't on my heart back then.
Right.
What I'm doing now.
Right.
But I did feel at the time like I made what was a very, it's not like I was just, saying, I'm just going to be a doctor. It was well thought out. And I think it was like, look, I need you to go down this path. You know what's crazy, man? What I realized, and I realized this just last week. I said, wow, people come to me in pain in my clinic. You know what I search for every single day is clarity on what's causing them pain. I had no idea he was setting me up in so many different ways. And that's just one way as being a physician that I ask questions, I probe to find underlying cause. Somebody today, hey, man, they say, man, my arm hurts here. Here. For those who can't see or might be listening to this on the podcast, I'm grabbing closer down toward my elbow. What he doesn't know is as I get more clarity on what's happening, I say, no, this isn't the pain. It's actually coming from here. I feel like men, we say, this hurts. My elbow hurts. I'm unfulfilled. I'm stuck.
Yeah.
But we don't understand the underlying part. This is why you talk about a luminary, a coach, a guide. Sometimes it takes somebody who is gifted at seeing things you can't.
Yes.
And trusting that. Okay. But I didn't realize I was trying to justify not going into what I wanted to do, not being the quote unquote tractor or whatever I thought was a tractor, thinking it wasn't going to be as good as a doctor and all this other life I was trying to make happen. Because, like I said, maybe I made the wrong decision. When really, he was just setting me up to continue to build the gifts that I'd already had to help other people. And until we trust, which is why I feel like such a big part of finding that purpose and finding the gifts is you got to go to God. It makes no sense now that I think about it, why we wouldn't go to our Creator for more clarity.
Yeah, I mean, it's baffling, but when you look at how we're programmed and how we're taught, right? Once you start disconnecting everything from God, then it just starts drifting off into a different direction. And so the world is secular. So even our parents who think that they're teaching us, to go to work, with God on your heart and use your job as a place to witness. Even they don't understand sometimes, or a lot of the times, that instead of trying to fit God into your work, fit your work into your gift. So we, again, using different words, right? So a lot of times we think that, especially in a traditional sense, you're going to go to school, you're going to get a degree if you go to college, and you're going to work at this job for the rest of your life. That's what we come to believe.
Right.
In reality, especially now, we see that people switch careers every 2 or 3 years sometimes because it's about the job market, it's about what's going on, things are happening so fast. You can't be switching your identity every 2 or 3 years. And your job is not your identity. So even if you worked at this job forever, that would mean that you're just miserable in your calling forever. That's not the case. Most people believe that they're stuck because their identity is based on what they do. And so even for you, you believe that your identity was being a doctor. Your identity is your gift. You can use your gift as a doctor and as a coach, and whatever else you may decide to do, whatever God puts on your heart in the next 10 or 15 or 20 years. You may do this forever, but your life's work is not your job.
I think a better question that we need to ask people, or, I think people look at careers and they say, I want to be a blank.
Right.
I think the real question we got to start asking people is, what value do you want to provide to the world? What change do you want to provide? Because I looked at it as a physician. I said, you know what? I want to help people. I want to have a good income. And this is what I know. Because my brother was a nurse. I started working in the hospital when I was in college. So I was like, okay, we're going to go down this path. But I think it's like, well, what value do you want to provide? It almost like that should be a better question to people is not what do you do, but how do you help people? Hey, Fred, not, hey, what do you do? But how do you help people? I mean, it was basically what I asked him when we first started the show. I was like, tell people what you do. We should be I don't want to say defined, but our purpose and what we're doing should be defined in the service that we provide and the value that we provide for other people, not necessarily the title, because if it ever goes away, we feel like we are now inadequate.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think we were built, like I said, for contribution, to be able to serve other people, but we have to use our gifts in order to do that. We have to trust that we have those gifts. And I think a lot of us wrestle because we know there's something else, but we have this career and we're allowing it to tether us. You know what I mean? We're allowing that thing that we thought was so good and still trying to convince ourselves it's so good to tether us from that thing that we really want, and the things that we're using and the skills and the talents that we're using maybe in our career, and we're really good at it, may be completely different from the gifts of what the calling is supposed to be doing. And it's different. Because for me, I was like, I didn't see the connection between the coaching and the clinic. I couldn't, even until recently, that I started realizing, wow, that's why I've been able to help the people I've been able to help, and the ones that I help in the future. It was all a setup.
And just to drive home that point, right? Because we're tethered to this idea of who we are, what we are. I want to just kind of talk a little bit too about the mission, right? A mission. If you're in the military, you get sent on missions all the time. But nobody thinks that their mission is their purpose, right? But that's what we get caught up in, right? Right now, your mission may be to be a doctor, or it may be to be a nurse, or it may be to be a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home father. But that doesn't mean that that is who you were always meant to be. Your purpose is throughout everything, which means that the impact that you're going to have in the world can be had wherever you are, because as your gift, the Bible says a man's gift will make room for him. What does that mean? That means that wherever, people used to go out there and say, well, I got to go search for myself, or why am I here? Or what's my purpose? And your gift is simply saying that wherever you are, you're meant to be, because your gift makes room for you. Your gift makes your place in the world so that you don't have to search for it. You already have it. You had it before you were born. And so what we do is we conflate missions and titles and positions and jobs and all these different things. And we say, well, this is what I have to do. And we cling to those things because those things are validating other people's eyes, even for myself, right? So I literally had the thought going through my head that I can't do that. That's not sexy enough. That's not, that's not prestigious enough, right?
Yes.
I don't want people to look down on me, because I remember very clearly when I was in grad school, and I would tell people, I was waiting tables at the time, but people would ask me sometimes, hey, what are you doing? I'm in school over at, such and such. And they would say, okay, so what are you going to do? I'm like, and I decided that I was going to go to grad school first and then go to law school. And the look on people's faces when I would tell them I was going to law school was invigorating, because they would look at me with such esteem, like, oh, you're going to go to law school.
Yeah, man.
And then halfway through grad school, I realized I have no desire to do lawyering.
God bless you for not going, bro. Like, that's just more time and money. Nothing against my law, nothing against my lawyer brothers and sisters at all. But I'm sure you're grateful that you didn't go down that path.
Oh, I am. I am, because I knew that it wasn't creative enough, and it didn't allow me to kind of step into what I'm doing. Like everything, looking back now, I can see how everything lined up to lead to the next point, and God was aligning it all. And there was fulfillment in every step of my journey, but there was also still questioning about who and what I was supposed to be. And I believe that now, in this point in my life, I am just now really stepping into what I was supposed to fully be doing, how I was supposed to show up in the world, and how I was supposed to help other people to realize their own potential and their own mission and their own calling and their own purpose. And most importantly, their own gift.
I'm going to say, so you mentioned about, having your purpose everywhere you go. I think you and I, if that's the case, we will both agree that the mission you are on changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's seasonal.
Yes.
And so, I define the purpose as using your gifts, which I love it when my thoughts are consistent with somebody as a thought leader as yourself, because what I say is your purpose is the use of your gifts to be able to serve somebody, to positively transform the lives of others. And as your life changes, guess what? Your experiences change, and how you become a problem solver, to how you figure out how to solve other people's problems changes. Oftentimes, though, still using the same gift or now enhanced gifts as you've gotten better at them over time. Do you think that what most of us are calling a purpose, even what I say for the sake of ease of conversation, is it seasonal? Do you think it's seasonal, just what's going on in your life at the time? Or do you think somebody's meant for one specific thing for their whole life?
I think that so I define it this way. All right. In the book, I talk about it again with the idea of the drill and the sledgehammer. Your purpose and your design are linked, right? So when we don't discover one, we can often mistake the other. When we don't discover our gift, we can mistake what our purpose really is. And because we don't know what that purpose is, we think we have to search for it. And when you're searching for purpose, you're missing the point. You don't find the fulfillment and meaning and significance in what you're doing. Why not? It's because your purpose is in your design. So every time you're going out there searching for it and kind of create it in something else, it's not necessarily linked to who you are. And even if you get close, there's a difference again between being a drill and a sledgehammer. So you have people that are thinking, oh, I'm here to make a hole, and they're slamming into walls, when really your design says you have finely tuned to create this little hole for a specific reason. It's very important to make little holes, right?
Yes.
I think we make the mistake of thinking that those who make the bigger holes are the ones who have the bigger impact. And yet, if you can drill the hole that hangs a Picasso versus the one that tears down the museum, what is the impact that you're having, right? And so we devalue our design, and therefore we devalue our purpose. I'll put it like this. There's a very popular book, Simon Sinek wrote the book, Start With Why, right? But in my book, I talk about the fact that really you don't start with why, you start with your gift, because your gift is why you were created. Once you accept that, the alignment fits like hand in glove. And then you're able to move throughout the world and you're not drifting, because you know that I am bringing my purpose to wherever I am. My purpose fills my mission, right? And so you're going to have, like you said, seasonal pursuits, seasonal missions. Sometimes God is going to say to you, I want you to go here and do this specific thing, but you are bringing your gift and your purpose to that mission. You're not creating it and trying to figure out what, every day you show up in your gift. Every day you show up with purpose, because that's who you are. You have a purpose. It's designed around who you are.
And when people can understand that, a couple things happen for me. My career got a boost of fulfillment. Like my career got a boost because I started realizing my gift is the ability to communicate, to provide clarity, to take complex ideas and make them simple to understand, was really in communication, teaching and educating. When I would see patients, it became a magical thing that would happen now, because as I've identified the fact that I was a drill now, I could use the drill everywhere I went. Is basically what you're saying.
Yes.
I could go to the office with the drill. Guess what? I can be with my kids with the drill.
Yes.
Life becomes a lot more fulfilling as you discover. Ooh, I love that word, design and purpose. I'll be stealing stuff, Fredrick. So don't be. If I say design, bro, you already heard. I stole from my pastor. I at least quoted him. I'm gonna quote you. I'm gonna be like, I got this from Fredrick Bussey. The connection between the design and they're intertwined. They go together.
Right.
Man, we went completely off track, but I love where we went. Take me through something else is calling you. You're running the music company, start doing the marketing company. How did the urge start happening? What was this journey like? What was going on internally?
So it was interesting because the music industry changed. This is around 2008, 2009, 2010. The music industry starts changing. It's becoming extremely hard to get songs placed. It's becoming extremely hard to get work. It seems like the money is drying up, and a lot of people were really confused about what was next. I still had a deep passion for creating and doing music and things of that nature, but I started to make the shift to the business side. Over the next few years, as I discovered PR and publicity and marketing and things of that nature, and I joined the PR firm. I realized that I had talents and skills that were useful in this way, but it just didn't feel fulfilling enough. And after I left the firm, I realized, okay, I'm gonna start my own company or whatever. But it took me a while to realize I'm not really passionate about getting into the details of how to be tactically or skillful in a particular area, to get a real skill for the deep dive in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
What I loved about it was the psychology of how people think. What I loved about
Mm.
it was the ability to communicate ideas and to influence people. And that was a part of it that I really resonated with. What I loved about it was the ability to be strategic in how you think and reframe things in a way that allow people to be more passionate and how more powerful in how they showed up in their business and in their lives. And so as I began to learn and grow and do these things, it was great, but I had not yet discovered what that meant for me. So I was in a fog for maybe 5, 6 years.
Mm.
I was a stay-at-home dad, and I had my agency at home, but it wasn't growing the way that it should have been growing or could have been growing. And I'm petering along, trying to figure things out. I'm extremely frustrated.
Mm.
And so I hired a coach who was a marketing coach. But he was, Brian Ryder, he's a great friend. He's a great guy. And he had me do an assignment where, it's a basic assignment where you try to figure out what your solution is that you use to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is going on for about a week, and I'm racking my brain, and I'm like, I finally sent him a message. I said, Brian, I just don't think I have a solution. And what he said to me is what set me down this whole journey. It was like a bomb went off in my head. He said, God doesn't make people without solutions. And
Mm.
the light went off in
Wow.
my head. I said, wait a minute, I have a solution. God made me with one. Well, wait a minute, why don't I know what it is? And so that was the whole process that started me writing the book. And I had this marketing agency, and I'm trying I'm trying to describe to him or explain to him why I'm writing a book about this instead of working on my agency. And I just had to say, well, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I just know that this is where I'm supposed to be going. And the whole process, the conversations I had around the book when I was writing it and everything, it really helped me to make that transition until I was able to see for myself, oh, this is how I'm designed. This is who I am. I think that the reason why you and I are so closely aligned is because our gifts are very closely aligned.
Yes.
We
Yes.
see the world in very similar ways, and
Yes, indeed.
I could just recognize that energy in you and you and me. So,
Well, man, so let me ask you,
Mhm.
was he a coach? Was he a coach to try and help the marketing firm, or did you hire him for a different reason?
I hired him for the sales and marketing because I wanted to know how to get better at sales. I sucked at sales,
Right.
And so I was learning, but part of the great thing about Brian is that he's very good at mindset as well. And so he understood that when you learn about sales is that a lot of the reasons why people struggle at that is because of the mindset, the things that we have in our own way, our own psychology, etc. A lot of that has to do with psychology and persuasion and influence and things of that nature. But what I realized through that journey was that what he helped me understand was that I'm better tuned at helping people get through the mess and the noise in their heads themselves for business. I'm just better at translating that information for them.
And so even though the clarity you got by working with him was not what you initially intended to help you with,
No.
let me ask you a question. What was that clarity worth? What was that understanding worth?
Oh, it's priceless. I mean,
Priceless.
it will probably in my lifetime be worth, based on my own goals, it may be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Let me put it like this. There is no limit to the return of that investment. It's going to be exponential and it's going to be limitless because there is no barrier between me and the things that I want to create. And I don't think that's what people really understand. We think that there is a limit. We're taught, well, you're only using 10% of your brain. In actuality, it doesn't matter how much of your brain you think you're using because the potential to use it is unlimited.
Right.
We are created in the image of God who is unlimited, right?
Yes. Yes.
So our
Yes.
reflection of him can be unlimited.
Yes. Yes. So the other thing you hit up on first, I wanted to make that point was that, it is priceless, dude.
Man.
People talk about, I had this conversation with someone else today. People say content is king, particularly in the entrepreneur world. I think clarity is king. I think clarity is king. And I don't think there is no full clarity. There's always more clarity. You know what I'm saying? I
Absolutely.
mean, things can always get more clear, microscopic clear.
Yes.
So there is no full clarity. You gain more clarity, over time, and that happens with movement and action. I mean, you just taking movement and action, trying to get better in the business. You end up getting a coach, and the coach, even though it wasn't, intended to get clarity in what your purpose was, what you're supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
it still happened. The other thing is, you started writing it down, and I started realizing that I could get more clarity when I can explain something to people.
Mm-hmm.
When I can explain it clearly, I've
Mm-hmm.
got clarity.
Yep. Absolutely.
Also, writing it down, because without writing it down, I just think it's a great tool to get the thoughts that are in here and get them more organized in your head. Because I think part of clarity is also organization,
Absolutely.
putting it in a way that makes sense.
I came to that realization when I was a songwriter.
Mm,
I think that's what made me a better writer and a better coach, because the idea is that you have to get something, you have to get a almost an intangible idea into a succinct
whew,
window, and you got to hook people in 15 seconds. So you got to be able to say something that's extremely powerful and memorable right away. And so being able to do that, and it's a process, right? I've written maybe 3,000 songs in my lifetime.
wow.
And in that time, you learn that some songs are just not it. It may take you 10 songs writing this about the same idea to really nail it. It may be 100 songs. When we were putting together albums, you would write 50 to 100 songs to get those 10 or 15 that were really good enough to be there. And sometimes it's more than that. But if you're really dialed in, the better you are, the more you dial in, the easier it is to get that idea down.
Mm-hmm.
But in essence, that is the truth. Clarity comes as you get closer to something, as you go deeper into something, as you go further into it. It's what I call. So I have this thing I call the dominance method, which is basically for DOM. But dominance, we forget that Adam and Eve were created with dominion over the earth, right?
Mm,
And so dominance has come to mean something negative and out there. But in
right.
reality, we are meant to dominate with our gift. We are meant to create dominion with
Bro,
it.
don't make me throw this pen through this computer at you,
Dude,
boy.
in essence, right? We are meant to be the best in the world at what we do. And we think that it's limited, but that is in essence the beauty of God. He is so infinite that he can make every reflection of him infinitely powerful and still be more powerful than all of his infinite creations. And yet he gives to us the same ability that he has out of love, because he wants to share that and experience it from the outside. So he can commune with people and have a relationship with people based on our infinite capacity to relate and to create. So dominance means that you are able to create dominion through your gift. And so I take the first three letters of that, DOM, and it's about discovery, ownership, and mastery, right? Once you discover your gift and you own your gift, now you're in the process of day by day mastering it. It doesn't mean that you get perfect at it. That's the beauty of it. You gain, as you said, more clarity every day, using it more and more.
Bro, more clarity as you go. I mean, like I said, this is just last week, and I've been coaching now for a couple of years, and I got that clarity when I was in the clinic. I was like, man, I get clarity with people every day, and I got that from a conversation from somebody else who wasn't even doing coaching. Man, I love the dominance. First of all, shout out to my boy J Mac. John Mac is on here, and he is great at being able to get words like like you did, like dominance. What is that called? Not abbreviations, but
alliterations.
Not alliterate. Yeah, you know what I mean. But being able to take a word like passion and break it down, P equals, purpose and all that. John is phenomenal. And you want to talk about giftedness. This brother knows how to put words together, and as a publisher, and gets people's books published. He's a phenomenal man.
Fantastic.
But oh man, I love that, because if we don't, you talk about dominating one thing, And so many of us, particularly as we start going down this entrepreneurial path, we want to help everybody.
Right.
And it's like, well, I can do this, I can do that, I won't do that. And people don't want to hear you need to focus on one thing, or at least one thing right now, right? Right now, we need to focus on one thing. We want to do everything and we feel like we can. But like you said, I think in any one given time, I don't think there's multitasking. I think there is, people talk about multitasking, really is just, it's dispersing your energy in multiple different areas. To me, that's all multitasking is. It's not, but you might be able to multitask, but you can't multi-focus. And if you can focus on one thing, I mean, imagine the amount of, if you put all your energy and time and effort in that one thing, getting great. And it's not that one thing can't include several things in it. It can't mean collaborating with somebody else that's good at that thing to make this go forward. That's the whole reason why you good at working with some people. I'm good at working with other people. Because guess what? We may need to collaborate. Be like, I need Dr. Brad's expertise on this thing. Hey, I need you to talk to Fredrick because I'm not your guy, but I am, and so now we all work together. Some of us are so afraid we won't help, so many people that we miss out on helping anybody.
It's really our ego, arrogance, in a way. Selfishness, even, because what we get stuck at is believing that our value is tied to what people think of what we're able to do. Right. So helping more people actually doesn't help enough people. Like there are people that say, I want to impact 1 million people in the world. I would like to be able to reach as many people as possible. Obviously, I wrote the book to be able to help as many people as possible. But what I realize is that it's better to go deeper with a few people, because when you can go deep and be transformational with them, their impact can be exponential. And so I don't have to reach all those people by myself. Right. I just use my gift in the most powerful way that I can to help people where they are, so that they can turn around and do what they do best where they are. And that's how they're able to reach other people. And it's the network effect, right? We don't have to, God didn't design you to do everything and me to do everything. Otherwise, he would only need one of us, right? He created both of us because we have different, even though our gifts are aligned, they're similar. You do what you do way better than I can do what you do, how you do it.
Well, bro, I mean, I think what happens is that a lot of us who think that we're, I think many of us are multi-talented. And unfortunately, because we're so talented at different things, we think that because we're good at it, that it's supposed to be where we grow. Oh, right. I'm good at it, so I need to grow it. And it still ain't fulfilling. I'm hopping from this business to that business, and everyone might have been somewhat successful, but I'm still sitting here trying to figure out, man, how come I'm, I just hadn't found that thing, I just ain't found it. Because yes, you're good. And look, man, I mean, you ask me, I feel like I can do it. It's so funny because my wife jokes to me, like, we'll be watching like American Ninja Warrior. Lord, no, I ain't got no business doing half of them flips or anything like that. I tell my wife, she said, you think you do that, huh? I said, look, you give me enough time, I'm flipping. You dig? Like, I'm flipping, bro. Like, bad neck and everything, because I'm just that driven.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is, and I'm sure I'm talking to many other brothers out there, you feel like you're motivated to do anything. That's not, just because you're good at a lot of things don't mean that that's what you need to do, or that's what you're going to be great at. That's how you will literally, I think we are here. These are all people, but specifically men I'm talking to. We are here to contribute to the world. We are here to contribute to make the lives of other people better through our gifts. And until we accept that, we are rename this show, man, just accepting you, accepting your gift, accepting your identity. And until we can really accept that, we confuse the how it's going to happen with accepting who we are. Oh, well, it's no way what I want to do is going to happen how I think it's going to be.
Right.
Instead of just accepting who we are and the how is going to happen, how it's going to happen. It never ends up happening the way we think is going to happen, and end up devaluing what the thing is that we're supposed to be going after.
Brad, what you said was so powerful. I don't even think you understand. Most people are stuck in the how. They're stuck. If they can't see how it's going to happen, they don't believe it. They don't understand how they're supposed to do something. They don't pursue it. They get stuck in the how. And if the how isn't happening the way that they want to, like we oftentimes have a plan of how we want God to do the thing that we're asking him to do. Like, God, here's the house, and this is what I want you to make this happen like this. Or God, here's the woman, or here's the man, and I want you to happen the relationship to happen like this. Or make this, God is not a genie, and he's not following our instructions. He's saying, I've given you a gift. Your gift will make room for you. It will illuminate all the things and the desires of your heart. But what you understand is that when you focus on the gift, it changes the things that you desire. And you don't have to worry about the how, because your gift is how.
Like, your gift is how. Somebody throw that in the chat. Oh my gosh, we need so many of these things. I got to go back and listen to this thing again.
Man, let me say this, right? To drive this home, this point, birds don't worry about how they fly. They just fly. Fish don't worry about how they swim. They don't swim. Fish don't have existential crises, right? Where they're sitting there figuring out, well, should I swim left or right or upstream or down? They swim. Birds fly. The wind blows. The water flows. Everything that was created in earth was created with a purpose.
Ooh.
Nothing. And here's the thing. Okay, so the last point. So the reason why we focus on the how is because we're afraid that if we don't know how, we're going to fail. When you understand that you're operating in your gift, you understand there are 3 laws in the book. There are 3 laws of giftedness. The first law is that everyone is created with a gift. The second one is that every gift has a purpose. And the third law is my favorite law, because that is the law that says nothing that was created with a purpose can fail at the thing it was created to do. You can't, when you're walking your gift, you will not fail.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And we can't understand that, which is why we don't have the confidence to move.
Yeah.
Which is why it takes us so long to accept and to go, because we want to take a sure step forward. We just don't understand how firm that step is going to be if it's rooted in giftedness. If it's rooted in giftedness, our design and our purpose, as what you're talking about. Man, bro, I don't want to land this plane. I gotta at least get to the transition of accepting. You started writing the book. How did the coaching, how did it start? How did you finally say, all right, man, like, I'm gonna get to coaching? Because you resisted. And mind you, I think everybody needs to understand, Fredrick, you and I, we're talking from a place of experience. I wish I could just say, hey man, I did this and boom, boom, boom. A year I was good. I was out to races. I was making money. It wasn't that. That's not the case for me. Right? Probably wasn't the case for you. So the reason why we can understand, and we understand a lack of clarity, or understand clarity so well, is because we understand just how much it was to have a lack of it and to get through it.
Yes.
So you're unclear. You start writing the book. How do you get to start doing the coaching where you are now?
So interestingly enough, I had a group of young ladies. It was 3 young ladies who came to me and said, we're working on businesses, and we would like for you to coach us. So it wasn't even planned per se, but they asked, and I said, okay, sure. And to be honest with you, at that time, this was probably 3 years ago, I wasn't even really sure what we would do. Well, I said, all right, we'll get together. And so we got together, started working through that process.
Didn't know what you was doing. That's another nugget, by the way. Move before you're ready. But go ahead.
That was exactly it. But somehow, when the lights came on, I knew. And part of it was another thing that was a skill that I have, and that one that it doesn't really matter who you are. We all have to learn how to listen. And so listening develops being able to understand the right questions, to be able to draw the connection between what is it I need to know to help you, right? So coaching is not about just giving advice.
Nope.
You know, I've got insight, but a lot of the insight I gain is simply by asking questions, because the light goes on. Oh, this is why this is happening, right? Based on things I've learned, experienced, whatever.
That's right.
That was kind of how the entryway came, and it was still another year before I was able to say, you know, I think I need to do this full time. You know, it was up and down, it was in and out. The group didn't last. Well, it lasted for several months, but then I ended up only working with one of the women for a longer period of time. And over that time, the reward and the fulfillment that I got in that hour when I was coaching, it was, and I said, well, let me just start doing this. And so, you know, in different Facebook groups, they have this feature where you can be a mentor to people, right? And so I would sign up and say, hey, I'll be a mentor. And so sometimes people will reach out and we'd have a conversation, and I'd sit down and talk through them with things. And I just got so much joy out of it. I said, and I was really able to help people in profound ways. And I said, I got to do more of this. Once I got to the realization that I was robbing people of the opportunity to live a better life, to understand what's really possible, I realized I had an obligation. I had a responsibility to step into that, you know. So,
bro, you hit on something. It's an obligation, and you said once I realized I was robbing people. Here's one of the conclusions I came to: is, bro, we'll give up on ourselves 100 times over. I've given up on myself 100 times over. Hate to admit it, but it's the reality.
Yeah.
But bro, when you start realizing there's somebody depending on you, particularly if you have a solution to their problem, and even more so, a problem that you solved in yourself and somebody else, and you realize what that pain is like, and you not solving it for somebody else because they're out there stuck and you ain't moving, it becomes an obligation for other people. You know what I mean? And when you realize, and you waking up every day realizing, you know, I'm starting to understand kind of what I'm supposed to do, but people out there ain't. They're what'd you say? They were you were robbing people? Bro, that's a strong analogy. Robbing people from their potential, robbing people from. My question to all the brothers out here watching is, what are you robbing people from because you're not stepping into it? What are you robbing people from? Somebody out here is not happy because you are not moving.
Imagine being a lifeguard standing by the pool while people drown within arm's reach. That's what we were doing.
Yeah.
I realized, I said, I can save these people from drowning. And I don't mean save mean save in the traditional sense, but if for instance, you could teach people to swim before they even dived in the pool, and you knew you could do that.
Yep.
And you didn't. But you let them jump in knowing they couldn't swim, and then you stood by while they drowned because you were too scared, thinking about what are they going to think about how I swim when I jump in the pool.
And that's what you're describing now, really, truly, it's all of us to some degree, but specifically for this coaching world, man, I think is the deal. I mean, particularly serve as a guide. Hey, man, look, I've swam before. I'm a pretty good swimmer. Matter of fact, I'm a pretty good swimmer because I learned how bad of a swimmer I was, fixed it. And so now I want to help you before you jump in the pool.
Yeah.
Or, you know, somebody saying, I'm getting ready to jump in the pool. And really, that's where the passion came for me, man. it took me so long to get clarity. And I started realizing just how significant it was to be clear on what I was going into, because I did so many things that now I see as a blessing, but I could have cut my time short if I would have had clarity or somebody to give me guide on really what I was looking for. I was searching, you know, trying to do business here and there, trying to, you know, do a business and trying to force this business to work. It was completely outside of what fit me and my purpose. You know, making poor decisions as a husband, father, Christian, just all trying to find, you know, just trying to find clarity. That now I want people to start going down the right path. to save them the time, money, energy. I was talking to a friend today. He's also a coach, phenomenal guy. Shout out to Dr. Joe Martin and the discipleship that he does at Real Man University. But we were saying, a lot of people can find a lot of this information online. That's not the goal of a coach. The goal is to help you get there sooner, faster, with little or no mistakes. Which to me, I don't know about you, Fredrick, but I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get there.
Right.
I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to collapse time frames. Because again, when you start realizing people are waiting, guess what? Every day somebody's probably jumping in the pool, and I'm like, doggone it, they jumped in, and because I didn't do something, I wasn't ready. They drowning now.
Yeah, that's me. When I started, first it took a while before I could just embrace the fact that I was a coach, and then over time I had to realize, okay, I don't just want to be a coach. I want to be the best in the world at what I do. Why? Because I have to be. Because there are people that need what only I can give.
Yes, man.
And it's not even arrogance. It's just God gave it to me. I mean, your gift is for the world, but it's also for you. It's because no one else can do what you do the way that you do it. God designed it that way. What you said about the picture and different holes, what we see in the world, all the broken things that we see in the world are representative of people that are not walking in their gift and plugging those holes. When we are all operating in that way, what we see, in essence, to use your metaphor, is a picture of God. It is a perfect picture of God. And so people have, when it comes to talking about the church and the things, the ways that we've been deficient in, and way the believers have been deficient in presenting the true image of God, much of that is because most of us are not walking in our gift. We are imitating what we think God is instead of understanding who he truly is. And when you start to understand the infinite capacity you have as an individual.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
I get chills when I
Yes.
talk about this, because I realize how many people are so dead inside. They are sitting here, I don't know what to do. They're literally passionless in their marriages, passionless when it comes to parenting their kids, passionless in their jobs, and they are having no impact. They're like drills that don't even penetrate the surface, right? They're ding, ding, ding. And what God is saying, no, what I put inside you can drill to the very core of this earth, can penetrate to the farthest reach of the universe. There is no limit in who you can be and what you can be, but you're living beneath that. And because we're living beneath that, we are not perfect reflections of who God is. We are dim, dingy, partial, hidden shadows of who God is.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, I'm about to go. Look, excuse me, I'm about to go take over the world. I'll be back. Here's what I love too, man, is that we're so similar. I think when you start to get into the entrepreneurial space, there's competition.
Right.
And, there's something to be said about knowing that you just have people who you're going to serve. I love the collaborative effort that we've done up to this point, man. We've already said we're going to work together more. We're going to be on the same stages together. I'm just excited for it, because when like I said, there's a gift, you can't be selfish with it. You can't be. Imagine if two drills that make similar holes start working together. How many holes can hang Picassos out there? Right? Imagine now, because if it is truly not about us, then guess what? We selfishly collaborate. We selflessly collaborate for the benefit of others.
Yeah.
And the more that happens, like you said, the more people can see the picture of Christ. Bro, I love this, man. I could go for on and on. We're gonna have a second part to this, because we got to finish the rest of the story and everything. Last question I ask everybody who's on here, Fredrick. There's a guy out there, relatively successful at what he does, feeling like there's something else out there, and not moving on it. Knows there's something out there, but just not moving on it. What's one piece of advice you can give him?
You're created with a gift, and your gift is not going to fail. You got to trust your gift. There are so many people that are afraid to take that next move and next leap because what they're afraid of is losing what they've already built, right? And so you're concerned about building this little house and how shiny this house is. And you were designed to build a skyscraper. You haven't even scratched the surface yet. But once you submit to your calling, to your gift, to your purpose, you will find that it actually creates the headroom for you to take off. You know, to use the metaphor of my book, Breaking Orbit, many of us have reached this stratosphere. And so people look at us circling the globe at the higher level and think, oh man, they got so amazing. And when really you are not an airplane, you're a rocket. And you were meant to reach to the furthest depths of the universe. And so you're wondering why it's taking so much effort just to stay in place. And that's because you're still fighting in this atmosphere. You're still fighting gravity. And your gift is your gift is designed to take you beyond that. And if you trust it, if you trust the creator who gave that to you, what you can create in your life and with your life will be the most rewarding thing that you've ever done. And every day will be that experience for you. It'll be so fulfilling, so rewarding. You know, whether it's parenting your children, whether it's loving your wife, whether it's creating a business, whatever that thing is, in that moment, day by day, you can be the greatest in the world at that thing. Your gift cannot fail.
Bro, I'm ready. I am ready. I hope everybody who's watching this, I mean, man, as I create the podcast for this is going to be one of the ones that I can consistently refer to. I'm going to put on here, as you just tell us where people can find you. And I'm going to put your Facebook group on here for the men who are interested. But where can we find you? Where can we follow you, Fredrick?
So I'm everywhere on social media: Instagram, Fredrick.Bussey, Twitter, Fredrick Bussey, Facebook, Fredrick Bussey. My group for 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs is called the 7 Figure Circle. Feel free to drop in and check that out. We have challenges, trainings, interviews, exclusive interviews where we talk to high-level individuals who can train us on different parts of mindset, productivity, etc. We tap into all of those things, and I'm trying to. My purpose is to create a community of people who are like-minded in pursuing their greatest selves through their business and entrepreneurship. I'm in all those different places. If you want to send me a message, please do so. I'm on Facebook Messenger a lot. I'm really accessible there. So shoot me a message, join the Facebook group. Be happy to have you. And FredrickBussey.com. If you want to pick up a copy of the book, you can do that there. It's on Amazon.com as well.
Yeah, I put the links up there, guys. So when you on the replay, and if you're listening to this, what'll be on the future podcast, this will probably be on the show notes. Fellas, man, I appreciate you checking it out. Shout out to just some phenomenal men. Marvin, appreciate it, man. Thanks for the shout out. Thanks for contributing. Thanks for engaging on here. My boy Reggie was on the show several weeks ago. Reggie, I appreciate it, man, and what you do. You already got some quotes going in here with some of these brothers, man. Marvin said, afraid of losing what you already built. So again, Fredrick, man, thank you for blessing us today, dude. As a matter of fact, I need to go ahead and what I'm going to do is join the group. Let me know when I can come in and help. Let me know when I can come in, share about some stuff on purpose. Share this inside the group if you want, man. I want to help bless the folks that you have in there. And that's what I love, man, is particularly when you start working your gift in this. It is a gift. So guess what? You want to give it. Like, I just want to give it. I want to give it. I want to give it to everybody. You know, I know some people may not be ready. Look, God offers the greatest gift ever, and some people don't take it. So even though I know some people may not be willing, when you do start understanding what your gift is, you can be very clear at how to give it, who to give it to. You want to give it to everybody. So, man, by all means, please share this with whoever needs to be, and however I can help you moving forward. We've already said this. let me know, brother.
Absolutely, brother. I'm very appreciative of the opportunity just to come and have this conversation with you on your platform. I'm very happy. I've been able to check out a few of the podcasts and the broadcasts that you had, and I love what you're doing. I love how you're pouring into men, creating men of impact. I think it's valuable, super valuable, and we need more people to do that. You know, we just passed Father's Day, and you know, a lot of times that's the only light that men and positivity around men ever gets really to be shown, but you're doing that 365, 24/7, and I want to salute you for doing that. And any way that I can support you and work with you to do that, I'm more than happy to do that.
Well, man, we'll certainly take advantage of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, and for the ladies who are tuning into this, make sure you share this information. Make sure you like and share. And again, man, this has been an absolute blessing. Until next week, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, we'll be back, Men of Impact, with me, your host, Dr. Brad, with another phenomenal man of impact, sharing ideas and strategies on how to gain clarity and confidence you need to be able to discover your purpose, pursue your calling, and impact the world. We'll see you guys next week.